Welcome back to Pretty Healthy Family Podcast. Today is one of my favorite topics. It's what does it take to build muscle? So, I have a lot of clients where they're coming in, they're not obese, maybe they could lose a few pounds, but their main goal is I want to build muscle. I
Mhm.
want to look like a Marvel superhero. So, what does it actually take to build muscle? What are the things that a person needs to focus on to make sure that they're building muscle? That's a topic for today.
Yeah, I love it. And I would say that a lot of my clients come to me, they maybe have a few pounds to lose, but they want to build muscle so they have that lean tone look versus a skinny fat look.
Yeah. And putting it in context, no one's looking to be like The Rock. Like, we're not looking to get huge, but how do you have that kind of muscle tone, kind of like what you're saying, is that lean
Mhm.
tone look where I just look athletic? I look like I'm in shape. I'm filling out the t-shirts in all the right places,
Mhm.
those type of things. Or it could be the skinny jeans or whatever girls do.
The yoga pants these
Yoga
days.
pants, yeah. So the first thing I wanted to go over is calories. So usually when a client comes to us, we're talking to them about calories, macros, and that kind of stuff. But what does a calorie need to be? Calorie intake, should they be in a surplus? Do they need to be at maintenance? Can I build muscle on a deficit?
Mhm. It very much depends on the person and their goals, of course, but ultimately, it makes the most sense for most people to at least be at maintenance in order to put muscle on because your body needs those calories in order to do its essential function and even more calories to build muscle. So at least be at maintenance.
Yeah, and like I said, it all depends on where they're at in their health journey.
Hmm.
If you're new to lifting weights, strength training, you're gonna build muscle, I swear, by just looking at weights. Because those like newbie gains are there, you could be in a deficit as long as your protein's in the right place, because it will require a certain amount of
And if
protein.
you have some body weight to lose, that can be
Yeah.
helpful as well.
Yeah, because the muscles can pull from the excess calories in our fat, and then with the combination of the protein and the exercise, you can build muscle in a deficit.
But even so, it's usually harder to do it that way, even for
Yes.
someone in that situation, which is why we still recommend that you at least eat in a maintenance. And for most people, eat at maintenance.
Yeah, and that's kind of the second part of that is those newbie gains, that new experience where I can eat in a deficit, still get muscle, that's going to be short-lived. At a certain
Yes.
point, you need to just
Hmm.
focus on strength building and building muscle instead of trying to lose inches. And what will probably happen is you'll lose inches by
Because
building muscle.
you'll tighten up.
Yeah. Yeah. What type of exercise then? Well, I guess let's just round out food. What is the ideal kind of macro situation for someone who's looking to either be in maintenance or a surplus? How much of a surplus is needed? What does that look like?
Well, as far as your macro percentages, your protein should largely dictate the percentages because your protein needs to be uh, around zero point 0.8 to 1.2 grams per pound of body weight. And we usually aim for that 1 gram per pound of body weight per person. Or if you know your lean muscle mass, you can choose that one if you have more weight to lose. Or if you don't know that number, you can shoot for your goal body weight
Mm,
for that number in pounds. And that's your protein. And then your fat should be 20% at a minimum just to protect your hormones. And then whatever's left can be carbs or fat. You can
mhm.
choose. It largely doesn't matter.
Yeah. And in that, your energy levels should really dictate how many carbs
Exactly.
or fat. So I largely have a very high carb tolerance because I'm doing so much like aerobic activity. I need that quick energy.
Hmm.
So I have a ton of carbs, not a ton of fat. And that works well for me. But there are so many people who go the complete opposite.
Hmm.
So yeah, it largely is going to be dictated by your energy levels.
Yeah.
In terms of a maintenance, we're going to know our maintenance if the scale isn't moving. Maybe it's only fluctuating by a pound or two a week, but we're roughly staying week over week around the same weight. That's
Hmm.
how we're going to know that we're in maintenance.
Hmm.
So when it comes to surplus, what's the ideal surplus range to build muscle but not gain a ton of excess fat?
You just want to do a slight surplus, what, 200 to 300
Yeah,
calories a
that's all.
day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can only realistically build about 2 pounds of muscle if we're new to strength training. Only build about 2 pounds of muscle per month. For most of us who have been exercising for a while, you're looking at only about a pound a month for strength additions or muscle
Hmm.
add.
So that doesn't seem like a lot, but if you think about it, if you're weight training for 6 months at maintenance, that's a minimum of 6 pounds you're probably gonna
Yeah.
put on.
And so with every pound, it's about 3,500 calories. So if you divide 3,500 calories out in 30 days, that's a really small surplus. So that's why I like the 2 to 300 calorie over maintenance is probably all you'll need to add muscle without adding too much excess fat.
And the surplus is so helpful to be able to build that extra muscle, especially if you're someone who has plateaued in your strength training and you've stopped seeing gains.
Mhm.
Sometimes you need that surplus in order to continue to see the results that you're looking for, which is
Yeah.
something that I've experienced lately. I was reaching a plateau and having just a little bit of trouble getting my weights and my strength where I wanted it to be. So I just ate in a slight surplus. And what do you know? Suddenly everything started going up across the board. And that was very satisfying for me.
Yeah. And the other aspect of that, if you are concerned about gaining too much excess fat because of the surplus, something that we've tried to implement, I may be in a surplus for 2 to 3 months,
Mhm.
and then I'll do a mini cut for 2 to 3 weeks.
Show off those results.
Just, yeah, to show off those results. And I think that's the enjoyment of I'll be in a slight surplus. I'll gain a little bit excess fat because that's just going to happen. But you can do these small mini cuts maybe every 3 to 4 months where you can see, like, just check how am I tracking? Is this what I want out of my overall progress? And that's a good way to just see the progress that you're looking to see in terms of muscle development.
And you can monitor your progress along the way in terms of progress photos and measurements as well. Because if you're looking at those things, you can see, okay, wait, am I gaining fat or am I gaining muscle? Yeah, you may gain a little bit of fat, but you can avoid it if you
Mhm.
watch these measures really closely. Which is why it's really helpful to have a coach in your corner because someone can monitor these measurements and see, okay, well, this measurement's going up, but your waist is going down and your scale weight is going up, but that means you're building muscle, not fat. So we can
Mhm.
keep going.
Yeah.
Or maybe, okay, it looks like you might be gaining some fat here. So let's just stay here for a while and let your metabolism catch up. Or maybe it's time for a mini cut.
Yeah, and that's really goes to how a person should assess how they're building muscle. So I'm going to use the scale to indicate whether I'm in a calorie surplus. I'm going to use my progress photos to see where that calorie surplus is going. It could be going into my muscles, it could be going into my love handles. So,
Or your
or your
face.
face. So it's the scale is a good indicator of overall weight to know if we're in maintenance or a calorie surplus. Progress photos and measurements are a good way to know how our muscles are adapting to that calorie surplus.
That's a
Um,
great way to put it.
and strength too. Like you came home this week or you texted me and you're like, I'm hip thrusting over 300 pounds, which is a huge strength gain from where we were 3, 4 months ago. So
Mhm.
that is another indicator of progress.
And if you are gaining strength, you are gaining muscle.
Yes.
Even if you are putting fat, if you're getting stronger at the gym, if you're lifting more weight, you're able to increase your reps, you are putting muscle on.
Yeah. And so using strength as an indicator of success in the back of your mind, you can just put this on the side and think, when I get to that mini cut, it's just going to be even cooler
Hmm.
because I know I'm gaining this strength. And even when you're in that mini cut, your protein essentially stays the same, your workouts stay the same, and you're just kind of cutting back on either those carbs or fats to take that calorie limit a little bit below maintenance. But you're knowing that you're going to see the progress that you're looking for.
Hmm.
So the next thing is going to be, what type of exercise should I be doing to make sure I'm maximizing my muscle growth? And I know this is largely dependent on the muscles you want to grow, but how would you structure a kind of a workout plan? Would you focus more on if I'm just looking to grow my glutes or something, am I focusing on only like glute kickbacks, or am I trying to do more compound movements? And does it matter where the weight is?
I mean, I think it matters to an extent, absolutely. If you are specifically trying to grow a butt, you need to follow a structured program to grow a butt. Will you do compound movements? Yes, absolutely, because you need those movements for your everyday life, and they're also helpful for your goals. But regardless, you need to be doing those compound movements and working towards your goals specifically with a structured plan.
Yeah, and thing that I always come back to when it's a glute specific type of program is, are there deadlifts in there? Are there squats? And are there Bulgarian split squats? Like
Hmm.
those to me are the three core compound movements, which will grow a great butt. And week over week, I'm looking, let's say the reps and the sets are exactly the same. I'm looking to increase the weight week over week until I can't. And then hopefully it's maybe month after month, I'm looking to increase the weight. So that progressive overload.
And to be clear, sometimes there are weeks you can't
Oh, yeah,
progress the weight.
definitely.
I mean, you don't
You're
sleep
going
as
to hit a
well,
plateau.
you didn't eat as much as you thought you did. So there are going to be plateaus along the way, but overall, if you are looking at a graph, even though there are plateaus on the way, overall the line is going up.
Yeah. And yeah, um, the higher your training age, the more difficult it's going to be to see new higher PRs or personal records with those lifts. And that's where the second part of this goes, is that then it's time to maybe shift around the volume. So if I'm doing a 5x5 Monday, Wednesday, Friday, maybe I'm doing 3x8s Monday, Wednesday, Friday,
Hmm.
or I'm going from a 4-day workout plan to a 5-day workout plan by shifting around the volume and how many sets I'm accumulating each week. That's still progressive overload, and it's also refreshing to do a different training plan, because many times I'll do the same training plan week after week for 2 to 3 months.
Hmm. And that's my favorite. I
Yeah.
love doing them over and over and over. But at some point, you do need something new.
Yeah. And a good indicator of the time to switch to the next one is going to be either boredom or you're reaching a plateau. And so by creating a new stimulus, the body has to react to that new stimulus. So doing a new training plan for a few months and then coming back to that old one, you're going to be surprised how much more weight you can lift.
And to be clear, it seems like when I hear you say this, it makes it sound like, okay, well, why wouldn't I just switch my plan up every week then if the body needs something new? But then you aren't able to get stronger at the movements, and
Mhm.
you really aren't able to progress, and you're going to plateau much faster.
Yeah, in many ways, you want to maximize that workout plan to, I can't lift anymore in this current workout plan before shifting to the next one.
Hmm.
And you can't do that without repeatedly doing that workout
And
over and over.
tracking.
Yeah.
Tracking your reps, tracking your weights,
Hmm.
all of that's important. That's why you see people with little apps on their phone. Like our app has a place where they can actually input the number of pounds that they did previously, and they can see what they did previously and in previous workouts. They can see how they're increasing. And some people walk around with a little notebook at the gym. Like
Yeah.
it makes sense. There's a reason for that.
Yeah, because you're going to grow muscle with progressive overload. You can do it with weight. You can do it with reps. I would choose to focus on weight first,
Hmm.
then reps, and obviously everything with proper form, because form is going to be the thing that's critical for longevity.
Perfect form, technique, and no pain.
So the next aspect of this, and we touched on it a little bit, how long does it take? And I really think the answer to that is it depends on where you want to go. And the thing that I get so excited about is that once you start that journey of building muscle, you kind of become a little bit addicted to it. Because you start seeing the growth, you start seeing the fruits of your labor, and you then want to grow more. And something I've seen with you is that a focus from I want to look a certain way to I want to lift a certain amount of weight.
But how I would answer that question would actually be yes, of course, it depends. But Also, it's going to take longer than you think.
Yes.
So, because most people expect to have these great rewards in like 30 days, and that's not how muscle building works.
Hmm.
So, and even for me, when I get that like that high, I guess you could say, for building muscle, like it took me a while to reach that point because it wasn't until I was getting stronger and lifting heavier weight that I realized, oh, this is really cool. I don't just want to look a certain way. I want to be a better athlete.
Hmm.
I want to be stronger. I want to be able to do push-ups and chin-ups. Whereas before, I couldn't have cared less. All I wanted was a tiny waist and a nice booty.
Yeah. And that's really that exciting part is when you start to transition, and this goes into more goal setting, and building muscle is a great goal. However, building more strength and being the best athlete that you can be and seeing yourself as a good athlete who's going to improve over time is a better goal.
Hmm.
So we have a lot of clients who come to us and they'll say, I want to lose a certain amount of weight or I want to build muscle. And we hope over time they transition to, I want to be a stronger individual with better mobility and to live a very healthy life that I love
And feel good.
and feel good. And a lot of that comes from focusing more on building strength and building that muscle. And as long as I'm having, like I said, my nutrition's in order, my sleep's in order, because it takes all of this. Something we'll touch on in a second is you can work out super hard every day, but at a certain point, you're going to crash and burn. So making sure that recovery side is equally as important as the build side.
Hmm.
The overall landscape of your pretty healthy life starts to be a little bit more enjoyable.
Yeah, the recovery side is definitely as equally as important because your muscle isn't built in the gym. It's torn at the gym. You get the little
Hmm.
microscopic tears in the gym. It's not actually built until you rest. And that means the rest from sleep, it's the rest from your deload weeks, it's taking a break. It's when you take that downtime, that is when your body goes in to heal those microscopic tears and it sends water and to heal the inflammation and your muscles grow back and they grow back bigger.
Hmm. And one thing I feel like we should talk about is the amount of like sets and reps. So with all of our clients that we have, there's a certain range that we want to make sure that they kind of stay in, and going above that is going to hurt your ability to recover.
Hmm.
So for most of our big movements, and let's say our big movers in terms of my quads, my hamstrings, my glutes, my chest, and my back, those are our kind of big movers of our body. I'm probably programming 10 to 15 sets a week. And I'm hoping that every single one of those sets is really intense. So your, what they call your RPE, your relative perceived exertion, is around that 8 or 9. So I can't lift more than 2 or 3 more reps before complete failure.
Hmm.
If I'm able to do that, 10 to 12 reps is really all you need. You can do, or 10 to 12 sets is really all you need in a week. And that ends up being 40 minutes
Hmm.
a day for 4 to 5 days a week. But
And
if,
you can still see progress with
and you
this.
can still see amazing progress with that. So, but going into a 6 days a week, you don't need that.
And
And
that can backfire.
yes, it could backfire because, like you said, the time in the gym, we're tearing our muscles. And once we can get out of the gym, allow ourselves to recover with proper nutrition, proper sleep, that's where we're going to see the growth. So there is a range you want to keep in mind. And there's a point where you can increase the volume, but not for too long.
And there's even a lot of data that's showing that people who actually took weeks off from the gym built more muscle than those who continued to go through the gym. So there's a lot of data to back this up.
Yeah. And so I'd rather have a client go to the gym 3 days a week and push that intensity to not their maximum level, but close.
Hmm. Or
Than
from home. We
or
say
from home.
gym, but you
Yeah.
can do this
Yeah,
at
you could
home
do
too.
this from home either. But having that client work out 3 days a week and really push themselves 3 days a week than a client who's going to work out every single day.
Hmm.
Because the client who's going 3 days a week will see more progress than
Hmm.
the client who's intent on intensity every single day.
Right. But if you are that person, like you can break up your 3 times a week to 5 times a week, but you're doing significantly less.
Yeah, again, the volume is going to be that indicator
Hmm.
where I can do 3 movements per day, spread them out over 7 days,
Yeah.
but I'm able to recover from that. Where
Hmm.
if I'm doing 15 sets every single day, that's really hard to recover from.
Hmm.
So, all the cardio gym kings and queens out there, I hate to break it to you, but sometimes a little bit of rest is important.
Yes.
Um, Anything else on building muscle and the ideal way to build muscle?
I feel like we do need to talk to those cardio kings and queens.
Yeah, so can you balance a cardio intent or cardio focus program with a strength training program? Because I'll use my personal experience. I'm training for a half Ironman. I also want to PR my squat, my deadlift, my bench press, and all the core lifts. So, how do you balance that out? And science is figuring this out because we used to say
Hmm.
cardio is killing your gains.
Hmm.
And now science is saying that cardio necessarily isn't killing your gains, but if you combine too much cardio with too much strength training and you're not giving yourself enough time to recover, then yes, you're not going to see advantages in either area.
You do need to do it very strategically because
Hmm.
you are sending separate signals to your body. You're sending one signal that says build muscle, and you're sending another signal that says build endurance.
Hmm.
So you have to kind of, I think for the most people, you're a unique situation. They need to prioritize. Do they want to build muscle or they want to build endurance and put their focus on that? There's still a place for the other one.
Hmm.
There's still, if you are building endurance, then there's still a place for strength training because that strength training is going to support that endurance. But if you want to build muscle, you don't need any cardio, first of all, but it is so great for longevity, digestion, your heart, and so many things. There is a place for cardio, but it needs to be done in a way where you're not overdoing your volume and sending mixed signals to your body. And as a result, you don't get either.
Yeah. Yeah. And the way I structure my workouts is I'll have a strength workout in the morning, and then I'm not trying to do any other exercise until the evening. And in that middle ground, I'm eating a ton of food. So I'm doing the best that I can to be do the minimal amount of work required to hit both buckets. But what I've also realized is I'm not going to be great at either. I just kind of want to check off the box, but it's
Mhm.
also just an experiment to see how it goes. So yeah, you kind of have to focus on one. And I love what you say with strength training. You don't necessarily need cardio, but what we found is doing a stair climber for 20 minutes after your strength training is great. Being on a incline treadmill after a workout is a
Mhm.
great way to stimulate the cardio element that we all love without really ruining any progress you may get with your strength.
And whichever one is your goal is the one that you want to do first. So if your main goal is to build muscle, you do that first and then you follow it up with a cardio. But if your first and foremost, your goal is to build endurance, so you want to run races, that sort of thing, it probably is going to be helpful for you to do your runs and your cardio first and maybe your strength training afterwards.
Yeah. And again, it just comes down to how much can you do and also recover properly.
Exactly.
And it's something that, as a CrossFit coach, we see a lot where people want to do CrossFit to gain muscle, but they're doing so much volume, it's actually not getting them the results they actually want to see. So,
Hmm. So sometimes you got to lay aside your ego.
and
And
just
I'm
do,
talking to both of us right now.
yes, yes.
And let some of the volume go so you can actually get the muscle gains that you're looking for.
Yeah, yeah, I've seen the most growth going from a 6 day workout week to like a 4 day workout week.
And one of the best things about all of this is once you've built that muscle, it's much easier to keep.
Hmm.
So you can actually, in years down the road, you can dial back your strength training sessions and you still have that muscle on your body.
Yeah, and I've seen so many people who've gone maybe down that bodybuilding path that they say I only really work out hard 2 to 3 days a week because I've built up the muscle and now I'm just maintaining it because maintaining it is a lot easier than
Mhm.
building it. But once you have it, it's pretty easy to keep on your body.
Yeah.
All right. I love that. That was a good one.
Yeah.
One of my favorite topics. All right. If you have any other topics that you want us to talk about, there is a note in the show notes how to contact us, and we'll start answering some listener questions probably in the next one.
Yeah.
All right.
All
Thanks
right.
for listening.
Stay pretty healthy.
Stay pretty healthy.